Brian Nadeau and Samantha Perry with you, and we've got a huge day here Friday at Gulfstream Park. Not only do we have the return of Breeders' Cup Classic winner White Abarrio, but we have a late pick 5 carryover as well. It kicks off in race number 5. The carryover almost $65,000 on a pool that should be comfortably over $500,000. A lot to look forward to, Samantha.
Yeah, it is. It was exciting to see White Abarrio in the entries. Of course, this is a leg up to get his campaign rolling for the 2025 and hopefully see him in the Pegasus.
Yeah, without a doubt, and he's smack dab in the middle of this sequence too. We'll get to that in a second, but we'll start it out here in race number 5. We'll go a mile and 70 on the Tapeta in a state bred optional claimer. I don't want to say it's a match race, but I certainly think the 2 Victory Badge and the 5 Rachel Song are going to dominate the wagering. How did you look at it?
Those were my top 2 picks in this spot here. Michael Trombetta, he's back here for South Florida, in South Florida for the championship meet, which is always exciting to see. He's got his main guy, Paco Lopez, in the saddle. Victory Badge loves the Tapeta surface, but has not had a win on it.
Yeah, so I think that's the interesting thing, and certainly Rachel's Song, 6-5 on the morning line, could easily be odds on. She's 3 for 4 on the Tapeta. She just thumped Open Company runners. A lot of people are going to go down with those two, myself included. If you're thinking outside the box, both the 6 Confer and the 7 Sprezzatura are in the mix. They've run against each other. They've run well in the past.
Yeah, they have, and it's kind of a race where those underneath finishers kind of just take turns beating each other.
Yeah, exactly. Those would probably be next up, but the 2 favorites look like they're in a good spot here. Conversely now, in race number 6, it might be a little more wide open as we go 7 furlongs on the main track, $35,000 claimers, 3-year-olds are 4 and up, which have never won 2 races. I went 5 deep in here, Samantha. I think you could throw a blanket on this race and come up with several different winners. Where'd you go on top?
I went with the 6 on top, but it's a spread for me in my late pick 5 ticket. You just see these horses that are Arundel horses that have switched into different barns have really just stepped up to the plate. Lasso was one that just caught a flyer in his last race of Raging Fury, and I think now with no Raging Fury here, this is the one to beat.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Lasso is definitely a candidate to move forward. He ran so well last time. Lace Up, certainly with Carlos David, and Irad Ortiz Jr. is back here at Gulfstream Park as well. That is great to see. We'll show you the replay of Mr. Scatter, who I know he caught slop, but he was really good winning his local debut.
He was very good, and I don't want to take that away from him, but I have a hard time really going down with horses again after they win so impressively in the slot.
No, I don't disagree with that. He's got to prove it a little more on dry land, but he had that Kentucky form coming in. How about the 2 Sano runners, the 4 Awesome Train and the 8 Secret Lover? They hardly disgraced themselves in the state-bred Gil Campbell behind local Abarrio.
No, they didn't, and that was a very competitive race. I think if you're going to use one of them, you should probably use the other one as well. That's usually what happens when Antonio Sano puts 2 in the same race. I think it might be a little bit too short for him, though.
Yeah, they're reaches, but I'm going to put them in there as price plays in a race where hopefully we can get some value, because probably, and I don't want to speak for Samantha, but as we turn our attention to race 7 and the return of White Abarrio in this 7 furlong optional claimer for 3-year-olds and up, he's 1-5 on the morning line. He'll be 1-9 very likely by post time. I wasn't looking to try to beat him.
No, there's really just no way you can, because if you look at a race he won earlier in the year going this 7 furlong distance, he just did it so impressively. There's nobody to be scared of in this spot. Honestly, I don't think he has to work very hard. His Breeders' Cup Classic win was just so impressive. Hey, this horse is versatile too. I think the 1-turn distances suit him quite well.
Yeah, and I'm sure as everybody remembers, and if you don't remember, before he went elsewhere and won the Classic with Rick Dutrow, he was 5 for 6 here. This was home with Saffie Joseph Jr. He's back here, and as you mentioned, that 7 furlong race was as good as any he'd ever delivered.
Yeah, it was a beautiful race, a beautiful victory, and what an amazing horse that we get to see back here locally.
His stablemate is the 4 Mish, who point blank disappointed in a big way last time. 90 cents on the dollar. Saffie did say he was a short horse that day. He can't beat White Abarrio, but if maybe White Abarrio's not ready and Mish rebounds, to me, he's the only one.
Yeah, he is. I took a shot with the 5 underneath just because he had only had one prior dirt start to this. This is a horse that every time he comes to the paddock, I comment on how incredible he looks. I feel like dirt is right up his alley. I'm not saying he's going to beat White Abarrio by any means, but maybe underneath in your exactas, he's one that you could just probably one punch.
And, to be fair and to play devil's advocate a little bit, White Abarrio ran twice last year in races he could have or should have or was supposed to win, and he was not very good
Right.
in either of them. And now we haven't seen him since June 8th, and he's going to be a very, very short price. Stranger things can happen.
This is exactly right. And on this day of Friday, the 22nd of November, this is not the end goal for him.
No, it's a great point. The Pegasus is the ideal ultimate early season goal. We saw him back at the shed row at the barn on Thursday morning, and he certainly looked pretty darn good in the flesh.
Yep, he does. He looks like a happy horse, and I think he's happy to be back in his home court.
Great race in race number 8 now, too. It's the same condition, but we'll go a flat one-turn mile on the main track and an optional claimer for 3-year-olds and up. It's a robust field. Steel Sunshine's going to try to get some class relief. I don't fully trust him. I didn't land on him. I thought it was a spread race. How did you see it?
Yeah, I was spread in my ticket as well, and I think you and I both like Big Martini a lot. A horse getting Lasix back on this 1 mile distance suits him perfect. He tries hard every time his slop or his muddy track race too starts back. He just didn't handle it that well, but you go back to the July 19th race, it seems like a similar situation set up here.
Michel Jaramillo aboard. I think he can control things from the outset. You hear us talk, and Ron as well, time and time again with these one-turn mile races. The field can stretch out a little bit. Let's go to Steel Sunshine now because he's a horse without a lot of early speed, and he's the class of the race for sure, but he does have a tendency to leave himself with a lot to do.
He does. I think it's encouraging to see that his last win was here at Gulfstream Park at this 1 mile distance. This is a great tactical post for him. Paco Lopez has followed this horse everywhere that he's run. We'll see if Mr. Bobby DeBona's got him ready today.
And that win, by the way, was the Grade 2 Gulfstream Mile,
Yeah.
so that's heady stuff. What do you make of Super Corrento? He was cut out to be such a nice horse when we saw him with Amador Sanchez a few years back when he appeared on the scene from Chile, and he was so impressive. Things went off the rails. Safi's had him, and he's had him for a long time. Edgard and blinkers today.
The blinkers on a 6-year-old, it kind of feels like you're trying something, maybe just giving him another chance here. He's one that I am willing to fade.
All right, that's interesting because his best race might be better than Steel Sunshine's best race. With that being said, it's coming up it's over 2 years since we've seen it.
Yeah.
So we'll see what we get under the hood. Lure him in. Don't sleep on him.
No.
Back with the Lewinsky's. He's pretty solid too.
Yeah, especially when he's with this barn as well. You've got to pay attention to this horse. Again, another one, 7 years old, getting blinkers on. But, hey, he had the blinkers on before with the Lewinsky's. They know how to get him to the winner's circle.
Any love, a horse I could not make, but I know people are talking a little bit about the one. Drum roll, please. D'Angelo and Irad on a huge trainer switch.
Yeah.
I couldn't make them, but not impossible either.
No, definitely not. This, to me, is a race where if you've got singles, you spread in this one because you could easily make a case for any of these horses.
Yeah, without a doubt, and he's under the radar, but a potent new barn now. Wrap it up in the 9th. This looks like another spread late race to me. State bred optional claimers going 1.70 on the Tapeta, 3-year-olds and up. It's a wide open race. Your morning line favorite is the 4 Hot Blooded at 3-1. I think it's that kind of race. How did you see it?
Well, I've got a long shot in this finale with the number 8, Super Attentive. He's only been on the Tapeta surface one time. It was at Woodbine, which is a completely different type of surface than we have here. Different configuration of the track, more so I should say. And I think he's a better horse since then. And now the fact that we've got him on the Tapeta, Misael decides to stay aboard here in a race where they're going to overbet a horse like the 9 Junction Road big time. I think it's a good spot to take a shot with a horse that's a little maybe outside the box.
And you know what he is? He's the other Mark Casse,
Exactly.
I think, too, because Team Cassie's got the 5 Dear Dad, who's a firm A-list kind of contender. I mentioned the morning line favorite, Hot Blooded. He's clearly the best horse in the race. He's got big Tapeta form as well. But now, I don't want to say he's be given away for 20, but that worries me a little bit that they're willing to lose him.
Yeah, it does for me too, especially with the barn like Mike Maker has just been a little bit quiet lately.
I agree. My long shot's in here as well. It's the 2 Money in Motion. Joe Catanese quietly does a decent job on the Tapeta. I like what he did here. He claims Money in Motion for 16 out of a pretty good effort. I know he was 60 cents on the dollar. I get that. That's Paco money, way over betting him. It was a good second. It was against open 16s. And what's he do today? He doesn't run him for a tag. He doesn't want to lose his new piece.
No, and I think that it's a great sign that they jumped in and got him for 16,000. because I think this is a talented horse, and now he's in with State Brits.
You know, there's a couple of different ways to look at this sequence. Obviously, I think a lot of people, ourselves included, have the anchor of White Abario. You need prices around them if you're going to spread deep and look for, value in other legs. But you can also be tighter in some of these races where you like horses, and maybe you can punch it for $1 or two and hit it a few times.
Yep, exactly. And I think that's just the way to play it here.
So about $65,000 in the late pick 5 carryover Friday at Gulfstream Park. It's not the championship meet yet, but it's got that kind of feel to it, especially with the return of the Breeders' Cup Classic winner, White Abario. That sequence is going to kick off in race number 5 at about 2:31 in the p.m. The pool should be very, very large, and we hope you get involved.